in regards to, you shared the ring with both guys. Looking at it from an X's and O standpoint, what is the difference between both fighters?
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's two narratives out there. I think, or really, there's one narrative. That narrative is that Terence Crawford can do more things in the ring. He's got more tools in his toolbox, and even though Errol Spence is a basic boxer, he's the most fundamentally sound boxer in the world. I do agree with that, but Errol's got more in his arsenal as well. And I think that we've never been able to see him pull out everything that he's had to use. Terence has been in the ring with guys who have done different things, and he's had to present other things go into his toolbox. But I do think that from an X's and O standpoint, it's all a matter of what are you going to do this round? Because they both have the ability to make adjustments, and they both have the ability to be aggressive. They both have the ability to fight off of the back foot, counterpunch. I mean, even from, again, the X's and O standpoint, this is an outstanding fight because they both have A+ in every box. And it's just, yeah. I honestly think that we're going to see probably 3 different strategies from both of them throughout the course of a 12-round fight, maybe even 4 or 5.
So and plan A through D.
You can ask Breadman and you can ask Virgil. I mean, having 4 or 5 different game plans within one fight is probably impossible. But I mean, both of these guys have to have all of that in order to win the fight.
Kell, for you, what did you notice in the ring from both guys, and hearing both Shawn and Virgil talk? Is it a foregone conclusion to you that we are going to get some toe-to-toe action at some point during the fight?
We're gonna get some toe-to-toe action. What I got from Errol Spence is a very big welterweight. He's obviously a natural southpaw. He's big, he's strong, he goes to the body good. His IQ is very good in that ring. The thing for me is inactivity. Is that at the recent times, I think that, but like I say, he's one of obviously Shawn, Errol, and Crawford, and Golovkin. I have to say the best I've been in with, and they've got that aura about them. They've got that. They've got the X factor, both fighters. But I think Terence Crawford, for me, he can box either style, orthodox, southpaw. He's a very sharpshooter, he's a very good finisher. I think the stronger guys, Errol Spence. But like I said, it's a small margin, in this fight. It's going to come down to, like Virgil Hunter said, who prepared the best, and who's going to go in there and do, like he's just pointed out, not let the other fighter do what he's come to do, and just be as, like Shawn said as well. They're going to need every game plan to go into this fight. They need absolutely everything they've learned all the career, all the life in this fight, because this is the real test. Who number one is in the division.
Kell, are you concerned for Errol that he might have a little bit of ring rust because he hasn't been in the ring since April of last year, which would make it over a 15-month layoff that he's going to be encountering coming up on Saturday, July 29th, when he matches up against Terence Crawford?
It is, yeah. I think him mentally he'll know that as well. He'll be questioning himself about, at the time that he's not being active in a proper fight. So, I think, it is worrying, but, time will tell. Time will tell. I think that Crawford's been, his recent fight has been looking very well, and he's going to be confident going into this fight. But like we said, these are true champions, and we're going to see exactly what they've got in their arsenal, come this month.
Thank you to all the fighters and trainers. We definitely appreciate your time and your perspective. My question is more so geared towards the fighters. Shawn and Kell, I'm sure you both studied immensely for your fights with Spence and Crawford, respectively. Was there anything that caught you by surprise with either fighter, like whether it was like the speed, the strength, the angles, or the punch variety that you saw from both fighters?
I'll go ahead and go first. And I'm definitely gonna paint this picture the correct way. When I fought Errol, going into that fight, I said I need everything to beat this guy. I can't leave anything at the gym. I can't leave anything at home. I had to take everything in order to beat this guy. And I think about 5 rounds went by, and just a simple move, a pullback counter, and I counter punched his jab with my jab, and he shook his head and he said something, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I got you." And what I realized in that moment was he's not as smart, not as intellectually sound as I thought he was going to be, and that seemed to kind of carry through the entire fight. I felt like I was a step ahead of Errol the entire fight, all the way up until that knockdown moment. And that was surprising to me. I thought that Errol was going to be more more intelligent in the ring, and I thought that simple pullback counter move. It's one thing to get hit with it, like things happen, but for him to acknowledge it and show how frustrated he was with in that moment, and then I started to see other moments of frustration as well. When we talked about this fight years ago, I said, well, Terence the smarter fighter, he's gonna win this fight. But I think that ever since this accident that Errol has sustained, and I think that having to come back from that and having to just grow up and get rid of a lot of things in his life, I think that he's a smarter fighter now than he was when we fought in 2019. And I don't think that there's going to be any surprises for either guy in the ring. There weren't any surprises for me when I fought Terence. Everything that came to me was everything that I thought was coming and expected the whole 9. And I think that one little stain, for the sake of words, that Errol had back in the day, 2019, when we fought, I believe that stain is gone too. So I don't think either guy is going to be surprised at all.
I have to second that as well. When I got in with Terence Crawford, I didn't expect him to be as. I knew we were going to be sharp, but I think just the way that he could switch in a fight so naturally, against obviously a world-class fighter, and be so relaxed, orthodox and southpaw, and just the angles what he was chucking his shots, are surprising. Very sharp puncher. He's not I don't want to say he's like Errol Spencer's more grinding, more thumping kind of power. It is more sharp and snapping. Terence's, and surprising. That's what I take from them two. And he does get frustrated, Errol Spence. He does get frustrated, in the fight what we had. We're catching him with shots, he gets frustrated, he shows it, but like I say, we're talking about two A-star fighters, and it's like I say, it's going to come down to many things in this fight, and they're going to have to bring absolutely every part of their game to get the victory.
All right, thank you for that, Kell and Shawn. Thank you for the question, Kirk. Our next question is going to come from Chris Murray with the Philadelphia Sunday Sun. Chris, if you could please unmute yourself, you can ask the question.
Yeah, my question to you, and my question is to the fighters, Kell Brook and Shawn Porter. My first statement would be, Crawford has to do what to win? And then my second question would be, what does Errol Spence have to do if he wins? What will he do well if he wins this fight for both of them? So starting with any one of you guys can take this first.
Go ahead, Kell.
I just think that me looking in, I'd say that but it's hard when we're talking about these levels of fighters. Looking as a fan looking in, you'd say that Errol Spence used to use his size, be calculated, go down to the body, calculated pressure. Be the bigger guy in the fight, and dominate, from round one. And looking in again, I'd say that, Crawford has to be a sharpshooter just on the end of the shot, firing back over his shots and, using the ring, sharpshooting like he does, picking the right shot at the right time, making Spence work when he don't want to work, you know, and just being very clever and sharpshooting and getting the rounds and breaking him down, you know, over the fight.
I agree 100% with all of that. I think the calculated pressure from Errol has to be something that he sustains the entire night, that he continues to put on the pressure and the body punching. And I think the two things that Breadman said earlier, number one, if you're Terence Crawford, you got to get to Errol's body. You got to make him uncomfortable. Do things to him that he's not used to having been done to him. Going to the body is certainly one of them. And then the other thing that Breadman said, between Errol Spence's punches, Errol has a really tight defense, keeps his hands up, he keeps his hands at home. If he's not punching, his hands are up. And that's something you can't say about a lot of fighters. And so with a guy like that, you have to find openings. Those openings are usually there when that punch is being released. And so, like Breadman said, punch when he's punching. And then right there to what Kell said, be accurate, be that sharpshooter. And again, I mean, we're talking about a great fight because we're not saying nothing that either of these guys can't do. You know, and so I think that's why this is such a great fight. I mean, you're talking about punching in between the gloves. All you guys on the call, you guys can attest that is it's hard to find the timing. It's hard to find the distance. It's hard to be confident to do it. Terence can do that. And then we're talking about all night pressure. We've seen Errol do that, you know, so it's going to be a great fight.
All right. Thank you very much for that question, Chris. Next up, Jonathan Nagyoff for Pro Boxing Fans. Jonathan, if you could unmute yourself, please ask your question.
Yeah, this is a question for Kell and Shawn. If you were both to fight both Spence and Crawford again, what would you have done differently to win the fights? Do you look back? I think there was areas where you guys could have exploited them more, or what would you say to that?
I'm gonna go ahead and go first. My guy called me. We talked maybe like a week after the fight, and we just kind of, you know, just talking about the fight and all this and that. And the call got quiet. I mean, still quiet. And it's like, you know, I'm still like, you know, a little hurt that I didn't get the win. It's dead quiet. And all of a sudden he goes, "Man, I wish you had went to the body more." And I was like, "Man, me too, man. That's the only thing I wish I had done." You got to get to Errol's body. That's the one thing I wish I had done more was go to his body. And then with Terence, it was a moment, you know, and you know, that moment I wish had never come for me. So,
you know, I don't want to take the shine away from him, but obviously mine's obviously preparation in lockdown, not having my main trainer with me, Dominic Ingle, having a trainer who was Spanish who couldn't really speak English, this were against Terence Crawford. You know, preparation in that fight were all wrong. And I think with, you know, obviously we're all Spence, fighting Golovkin and fighting at middleweight and then going on my holiday and eating like those fighters do. And then having Errol Spence as my mandatory and having coming back down to 147. As you know, I'm a huge 147 fighter back then. And, you know, not getting the best out of myself in training and killing myself to make the weight and not being able to push on the second half of the fight with him, you know. So mine would be come down to preparation and my lifestyle. But I don't want to take the light away from them two fighters.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to piggyback off of what Breadman just said, because if Terence is able to fight against Errol Spence like that, be able to be that comfortable and manage his energy the way that it's just been described by Breadman there, we got to start talking about Terence Crawford in the same breath with Manny Pacquiao, in the same breath with Andre Ward, in the same breath as Floyd Mayweather, because those are three fighters who have been great in every single fight that they've had in their own way and have been able to do it without anybody being able to disrupt who they are. Obviously, we've seen some disruption in Manny's career, but Manny's still virtually amazing at a lot of points in his career. My thing with this fight is, and it's something that you cannot measure. You can't measure another fighter's energy. You can't measure another fighter's mentality through the fight. That was another difference that I saw in my fight with Terence. Terence never got uncomfortable. and Terence never showed me that he that there was anything unsettling within his heart and his mind throughout the fight. And I pride myself on making fighters uncomfortable. Never once did I see Terence uncomfortable. When I went back and just analyzed the fight in my head and things like that, I didn't apply the kind of pressure that Errol was going to apply. I didn't apply that straight in your face mentality that I usually fought with. And I thought that may have been a reason why I didn't see Terence get uncomfortable. If Terence does not get uncomfortable against Errol Spence Jr., he's going to beat Errol Spence Jr. And we will have to talk about Terence Crawford the same way we talk about Andre Ward, the same way we talk about Floyd Mayweather, and in the same way we've talked about Mr. Manny Pacquiao as well.
Before I get ready to let these guys go, what a panel we have had as we inch closer to Saturday, July 29th on Showtime pay-per-view, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Errol Spence Jr., Terence Bud Crawford go head-to-head for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. I'll start off with you, Showtime Shawn Porter, but you know it's that time. I got to ask, if you don't have one, that's fine. But Shawn, I want to know from you your prediction on how do you think it's going to go down on Saturday, July 29th.
Shawn, you're muted. If you could please.
My apologies. I don't have a pick. I don't know who's going to win this fight. I think that it's just, to me, this is what boxing truly is right here. Both guys have basically everything needed to win this fight, from the power to the speed to, everything. There's really no one you can't. I truly don't think anyone can look at this fight and say that guy's gonna win because that. There's no one way that it happens. There's so many outcomes, possibilities of this fight. I think the one possibility, or the one thing that we know is not going to happen, is not going to be any foul play. It's not going to be any low blows. It's not going to be a headbutt that ends this fight prematurely. I'm going to go ahead and say it simply, man. The fans win. Boxing purists especially win in this one.
Shawn, we appreciate it as always. Kell Brook, how do you think the fight is going to unfold on Saturday, July 29th between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford?
I honestly don't know. I'm on the fence also. One day I'm saying Crawford, the next day I'm saying Spence. It's one of them. There's a small, very minute margin between both of them. They're both unbelievable fighters. And like Shawn said, the fans have got, going to get the best of both fighters at the right time. So it's going to come down to the night. We're going to wait and see.
A true 50-50 fight.